Oh, he still has those?
Oh, no.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I don't even think it's very cold, but it is. I work, so you get on this one.
I'm going to bring you some familiars. These are not ready yet. Isn't it adorable? Supposed to be down to us? I should have gotten one of Carter's. Yeah, she should. Let me put this up here. Just
Good morning. Good morning. Ohayou gozaimasu. Welcome to our All Beings Memorial Service very popular. So I'd like to go over the service order for all of us. For the chanting, we're going to have the Jusege on page 93. So singing We Are One in the White Gatha book, and then we'll remain standing for the Ryogyamon. Then we'll have our special Dharma message from Amy Tomine. So she's our guest speaker for today. And so we're very fortunate to have someone. Obviously, you're going to have to come more often. You're more popular than I am, so it's nice to see so many people here. It really is. And then our final gatha will be Ondoku-san 2 on page 107 in the white book, the new book. And we're doing that because they have verses in English and Japanese, so we want to learn and practice both of those, okay? And then we'll have acknowledgements, announcements, and whatever else we may have, okay? So, I think I'll tell you a little bit, the All Beings Memorial. We've had changes in the name, and it's kind of interesting. Initially, it was supposed to be the Pet Memorial, and people appreciated the bringing pictures of their pets, and the thought came up, said maybe it should be all beings, not just pets, but all the animals that impact our lives. So thinking about other animals as well, the chickens who sacrificed their life, going into the teriyaki pit there and sustaining our temple, and so many other beings that impact our lives. So we changed it to all beings, and then it was, we should call them All Living Beings Memorial Service. So that was the name for a moment, and then I thought, isn't it? All living beings. It's a memorial service. Aren't they supposed to be dead? So why do we call it all living beings, right? And so it seemed like confusing. And so now we have settled on All Beings Memorial Service. Personally, I think Pet Memorial is maybe not so inclusive, but kind of more personal. So it has a different impact on people. So it might change again, who knows? But this is the idea, the notion that we are thinking about and reflecting upon the animals that have shared our lives in so many different ways. And so oftentimes they are beyond the pets that we have. Okay. So we'll have Sucha Chan. Namanda, 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 Namanda. Today, on this occasion of the All Beings Memorial Service for 2023, members and friends of our temples have reverently come before Amida Buddha in memory. With deepest reverence and thankfulness for the all-embracing wisdom and compassion of Amida, we reaffirm the three homages. Namo Kie Butsu, Namo Kie Ho, Namo Kie So. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Please repeat the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Mujodo Shigan Vumanzo Sei Fujo Shoga Gao Muryo Puri Ai Seshu Fusai Shobingu Sei Fujo Shoga Gashi Jobundo Yosho Chojipo Kukyo Mishomon Sei Fujo Shoga Ryokujin Shonen Joeshu Mongyo Shigumu Jodo Isho Tennichi Jinriki Endaiko Fusho Musaido Shoujo Sankumyo Kosai Shuyakunan Kai Ichi Egen 永息上悪道通断全宗門高僧上満蔵異様実法一願中十期天候恩無限一周海王像法世苦徳法情報大集中説法四四苦供養一切無安心上満徳意三界を両分無下地通断未不詳感覚へに投資最小尊志願逆効果大聖の感動幸福昇天に当陳要形Okay, now we're going to have our Gatha. Please rise for We Are One in the White Gatha book, page 150. Then we'll switch books to read the Ryo Gemon on page 14. please, to the purple book and remain standing. And stand on one leg and clap with one hand. Page 14, the old game one, number 1. We rely upon Tathagata Amitabha with our whole heart for the enlightenment in the life to come, abstaining from all sundry practices and teachings, and giving up the trust in our powerless self. We believe that the assurance of our rebirth comes at the very moment we entrust, and we call the name Namo Amida Butsu in happiness and thankfulness. We also acknowledge gratefully the benign benevolence of our founder and the succeeding masters who have led us to believe in this profound teaching. And we do now endeavor to follow throughout our lives the way laid down for us. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Okay, please be seated. Now I'd like to call upon Amy to come up here and provide our message for today. And it's always fun to have one of our members to come up and share their reflections, insight into their life. So you never know when you might be called upon to participate in such a manner. Okay, please come up, Amy. Would you like to Oshoko?
And the altar. Our memories will keep them alive in our hearts forever. I know you're used to hearing Diane Matsuoka's annual All Beings talk, but she decided to pass this year, so Reverend Dennis asked me to substitute. I'm sure Diane will delight you again next year with her thoughts on All Beings. As I started writing my Dharma talk, my essay morphed into a stream of consciousness going on different tangents. So bear with me as I share my meandering thoughts. Hopefully one or two concepts will resonate with each of you. Today, I'm going to share how my dog, Molly, and you can see her picture here, led me to a deeper understanding of the Nembutsu. Don't worry, Molly is still alive and well, sitting in her window seat and guarding the house. The title of my talk is Forest Bathing on Solano Avenue with my dog, Molly. My childhood didn't include pets, except for Peeper, our family canary, who sang beautiful songs all day, and Scooby, our parakeet, who entered our lives when he landed on my brother Chris's head right here in our temple garden. We taught Scooby to say names like Scooby and Shinya. And they're as close as I got to knowing animals. There was my little turtle from the school carnival, Freddie the Frog I purchased from the counter at Walgreens drugstore, and my short-lived baby guppy. They were only with me for a very brief time, so I didn't get to bond with them. I never really connected with animals until 2007, when my dog Molly entered my life. For the first time, I realized that all dogs had different personalities. I didn't know that, but everybody else knew that. And finally, I understood how devastating it could be to lose a family pet. Now that I was responsible for Molly's care and happiness, I had to actually communicate with her, and she didn't speak English. Over time, we bonded as we spoke to each other non-verbally. In the past, my understanding of Shin Buddhism started by being a member of our Alameda Sangha. Immersed in our temple community from the time I could walk, I learned about compassion and gratitude. I experienced the interconnectedness of our temple community and began my life on the Nembutsu path with Reverend Abiko. When Molly became an official therapy in 2008, my path widened and expanded. Molly took her job seriously, performing tricks, listening to children read to her in the pause program at the local libraries, and bringing comfort to Alzheimer's residents at assisted living facilities. She would patiently sit on laps of residents as they gently stroked her, reliving memories of their past pets. Interacting with Molly brought such joy to them. As a result, I became connected with people from all walks of life. I could feel my Nembutsu life expanding as I opened up to more people, bringing them joy, just like Molly. My own happiness began to grow with each visit. Recently, my path further broadened when I started my daily walk with Molly on Solano Avenue in Albany. I had always walked her, but wasn't letting her lead the way, taking as much time as she needed to explore. My world now included countless dogs with sharing pleasantries with their owners regarding dog care and sharing dog stories. Before long, I listened to the local blackbirds chatting with each other, and the world of birds opened up to me. Finches, hummingbirds, sparrows, robins, blue jays, they all caught my eye. What are they saying? What are they pecking at in the street? Where do they go when it rains? And where did those wild turkeys come from? I could finally understand Dorothy Okamoto's love of countless hours of bird watching. As is a dog's nature, Molly has to stop and sniff every pole, corner, and garbage can, along with every plant, bush, and tree. I guess I always took bushes and trees for granted, but looking closely, I noticed the thousands of delicate, tiny flowers on bushes and hanging from trees. Small, intricate blue flowers on the rosemary bushes, flaming red petals of salvia hot lips, and the multiple colors of the ubiquitous lantana. I actually stopped picking them when I found out that they were poisonous. I think Benny told me that. Even the ordinary jade plant was decorated with tiny white stars. Colorful blossoms hung in clusters like grapes from the trees, all there to produce seeds to ensure the continuation of life. A crowd of mushrooms popped up overnight, spreading their spores to continue their species. As the seasons change, the buds blossomed, leaves changed colors before falling gracefully to the ground, leaving their imprints on the sidewalk as reminders of their existence. I could feel the cycle of life, the natural condition of impermanence. The term forest bathing came to mind. Forest bathing means spending quality time in nature using all of our senses. The only thing you need to forest bathe is a clear and open mind. Easy. But we weren't walking in nature, we were strolling on Solano Avenue. My daily walk with Molly was no longer drudgery, but a meditative walk, a mindful, rich experience. Some Native Americans say to think of plants as their relatives. Ancient Peruvians considered everything in our environment ancestors. They understood and respected all beings, not just human beings. One windy day, we watched a mass of dried fallen leaves gallop together across the street like a band of wild horses. Another pile of spent leaves began a twirling dance like whirling dervishes, lost in ecstasy. What wonderful free performances to observe on Solano Avenue. Strolling with Molly deepened my understanding of the interconnectedness and impermanence of all life. Little babies in strollers who could barely speak seemed to know the word doggy as they pointed with glee at Molly. Some were able to touch the soft hair of a dog for the first time. I could see the wonder in their eyes. Simple smiles and good morning greetings with the homeless, elderly, myself included, and mentally ill created a bond with often overlooked fellow human beings. Their faces came to life as they responded in kind. Something that Reverend Dennis said came to mind: see people in their own light. I hear languages from many different countries every day as we take our walk. I smell the rich scents of coffee and the enticing aroma of baked goods. I am no longer a separate entity, but a conscious participant in all life. Solano Avenue is lined with fall haiku poems. One written by a 12-year-old boy says, feel with awareness, experience happiness, go outside and sense. I think at his young age, he knows what I have discovered only recently. Painted on a rock in the garden of the church on the corner is, quote, do small things. Symphony of activity and ways from which to learn the Nembutsu. The interconnectedness of all life brings me happiness, deep appreciation, tranquility, and peace. Strolling with Molly has taught me the joy of being in what I am doing. Eckhart Tolle says, quote, all things in existence, from microbes to human beings to galaxies, are not really separate things, but form part of a web of interconnectedness. Reverend Dennis says when we chant at our temple, we are experiencing oneness, which can expand to oneness in our community, then to our country, the world, and on to our universe. We can continue to move beyond self-centeredness in our life of Nembutsu. I think about temple members we have lost and how I learned so much about them at their memorial services. Maybe we should open up more with each other and begin sharing our stories and go beyond simply sitting side by side in services. I'm grateful that I can experience forest bathing every day as I'm retired and I can slow down from the frantic pace of everyday living. But if you can find the time to jog or walk your dog, you can forest bathe. Better yet, as Reverend Taniguchi used to say to any captive audience, I know you know what I'm going to say, come to church on Sunday and share the Nembutsu teaching with our Sangha. My meandering mind is spinning with connections of how Amita's life is all around us every day. I have a long way to go, but I feel solidly grounded on my Nembutsu path. Thanks to my little dog right here, Molly. Well, she looks pretty big here. Before I end, I have an Ask Reverend Dennis question for you, Sensei. What about fleas, mosquitoes, flies, and ants? Should my compassion extend to all living beings? I ask myself that as I place the taro ant poison in strategic places throughout my house. But perhaps that's meant for another Dharma talk. Thank you for listening to my thoughts, and please remain after service to eat and chat. And I brought some animal cookies to remind us of all beings. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Amy. Wonderful talk and a lot of things to reflect upon and reminds us of animals that have shared our life as well. I'll touch upon your question, but first I thought maybe I should introduce the others that are up here on the altar area. So I think I'll come down because my voice, yes, this is working, right? Okay, here we have Native Horse. Native Horse has been a chairperson when we had services sometimes, and from the forests of northern Idaho. So friends with Half Moon and Shadow. And so we're happy to have native horse here with us and others here. Some of them, I don't know the name. Dorothy? Dorothy's gone?
Oh, she's in vacation.
Oh, Dorothy's pet. Dorothy's pet. This is Oscar 1. Okay, James and Stacy's dog. And this is Winky.
Here's Dorothy. Here's Dorothy.
Dorothy, introduce.
These are all my dad's pets. We've got Fea, if anybody knows Espanol, Fea. Anyway, I thought it was such a cute name, but it does mean ugly. I think there's another picture of, okay, that's my daddy's favorite chibi. And this one,
I'm glad we got a chibi in here. It seems like every family has a chibi. Okay. And this is Wigwag, who's been a chairperson as well. Good friends with my dog Quicker, who I had, the dog I always wanted in my life. This is Molly, another one of James and Stacy's dogs. So Molly and Oscar were brought in by James and Stacy. And Moose is from Alaska, so he hitched a ride with us when we went out to Alaska. And Winky again, and this one is Cosmo. So Diane and Eddie, another picture of Cosmo up here as well. So this one over here is Imposter Bear. So disguised as a horse, has a horse mask, but actually he's a bear. And we also have, let me get these. This is Karen's Shiba Inu, and go name this for today. And we have Molly, right?
I think it's ginkgo.
It's what?
Ginkgo.
Giso?
Ginkgo.
Ginkgo? Ginkgo, the color of ginkgo leaves, I guess. Huh? And baby giraffe, who has siblings, but he snuck out for the day just to join us. And we have flowers and fruits and rice, also part of the living beings for today. Okay, so we had a question from Amy. What was it? What about mosquitoes and what?
Fleas and ants.
Fleas and ants. Yeah, some of them are kind of looked upon as pests, huh? And we share the world with them as well. Amy had mentioned she had a question for me, and so I was thinking about termites. What about termites? And I always thought, my own house, before getting it ready to sell, we had a whole bunch of termites, and oh my goodness, I thought they should develop termites that eat rust, right, instead of wood. Then it'd be a little bit more helpful, maybe. But depending on what you're looking at, sometimes they are very helpful, or things would last way too long, and so they do have a role. And these other pests, we do have Dharma stories about mosquitoes, and one of the bodhisattvas who they would sleep in Japan with the mosquito net, so they wouldn't get all chewed up. But he'd stick out one leg just so the mosquitoes could eat, and the rest of his body was protected. But he'd sacrifice the one leg just to accommodate the mosquitoes. So try that and see what you think about that. I can think of times when you could hear them, but you can't see them, right? And you put the sheet over your head, and still you could hear them. And so they're pretty annoying sometimes, right? And I think and also, when stories of Theravada monks practicing and avoiding, Some of the lecture times when they gather to study, they try to do it during the seasons where they can just sit and listen, and they don't have to travel so much, so they don't kill as many bugs along the path. And sometimes they try to go from here to there, and they sweep so no bugs will get stepped on. And for us, that's kind of extreme. How would we get anything done? And in times, as a minister, I'm invited to go and speak somewhere, for example, and sure, to talk about the Dharma, to be compassionate for all living beings, and you drive over there smashing bugs on your windshield, right? And without concern, you can't be overly concerned. And I think our perspective is that we can't help it, right? As living beings, we take life. So we have to feed ourselves, and even if we decide to be vegetarian instead of meat eating of consumption, right? No matter how compassionate we want to practice to be. So it puts us in a perspective of recognizing our limitations and our needs, and because of that, we should eat and use our energy in a very positive manner to do something good and to be beneficial for our fellow human beings, for our family, for everyone in our circle and beyond. So it makes us aware of our interconnected lives, and it makes us compassionate and concerned for this greater reality. And we see ourselves as this part of this greater reality. And Amy pointed to that towards the end of her talk. So I think this is a very important conclusion that we do need to come to. And if you just think of what about that slug I just stepped on in the garden, came out to enjoy the wet weather, and there's so many instances, we can't help it. One good story, we had a joggers and striders group at the Idaho, Oregon Buddhist temple, and so people lived in different areas, and I would go to one part where our members from the Weezer community would come to the temple, but I would go out there, and a few of them, a handful, maybe 4 or 5, and we'd meet at the high school track and walk around the track. So when it would be raining, you know how the earthworms all come out because it's oversaturated. They can't stand it. So one of the members, she's bending down, she's picking up all the earthworms and taking it back to the lawn because they're going to die or get stepped on the track. And I'm thinking, the worm is probably thinking, took me all morning to get to the middle of the track. I don't want to be on the grass, So they're trying to get out so they can breathe, so they don't drown. But she's putting them right back where they started. So a lot of times there are cases where our own ignorance shows over our compassion. So we don't really know the whole reality of what's going on around us, and we do the best we can. So, very difficult to show our compassion at every single step, every single moment, but all the more we want to use our energy wisely in a broader manner. Okay. Any other thoughts regarding that perspective, or any other questions? Good. I think we are good. So thank you very much, Amy. I think everyone appreciated to hear your reflections and Solano Avenue. Very good. Okay, now we'll have our next gatha, our final gatha, Ondok San 2, again in the White Book, page 107, Japanese and English. Please stand for the gatha. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Please be seated. Thank you, Lenny, for slowing down so we can get all the words in there. Yeah, some of them we're improving, so it's kind of fun to explore some of these new gathas, and there's still more. There's much more to learn in this new book, and it's kind of refreshing. So oftentimes we get stuck using the same book, and we sing the exact same song for 420 years, and it gets a little tiring sometimes. So, do we have any words of acknowledgement from members? No? Okay. I would like to thank everyone who's involved in preparing for the service. There's much that goes on to set up. Pictures were brought in, particular to today, pictures, and some were here beforehand, and the giant cutouts are always fun to bring out as well. And the flowers, fresh flowers are provided by the flower toban, and we have fresh fruits and obukpan and all these things to adorn our onaiji. Tech people, last week we had difficulty with our cameras and all these brand new prompts that were like a foreign language to me all of a sudden popped up, and Dorothy Hashimoto came in during the week and tried to readjust everything and translate the language so that I could understand, and I'll hear in about an hour whether this worked or not. So yeah, when you do observe from home, you could let me know if it did come out clearly and if we have more difficulties to concern ourselves with. Do we have announcements? Yes, please come up.
So I'm hoping that most of you have your reservations in for our New Year's party next Sunday, an installation. If you haven't, there's still probably a little bit of time. I don't think we've sent in our final order yet, so you can let me know. Also, the crab feed, JSA Crab Feed, they are doing it this year on February 25th, and tickets are on sale online. So if you need help with that, let me know. And I think the first seating's at 4 o'clock. Anything else, Tom? Howard? All right, thank you.
Yeah, so next week we have our temple New Year's party, and so that's always a special occasion. So please put in your reservations if you would like to have one of those obentos provided to you. Okay. Anything else? Nothing else. Okay. We're going to close with Gassho, and then I'll make sure we have enough incense for Oshoko. Please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Okay. Thank you.
Bring in